visitors, welcome you back in geological knowledge. In the previous video we have discussed the models of the Earth's interior, in which we have talked about the crust as well as the upper mantle, and today we will discuss some important factors or facts related to the lower mantle as well as the core. But before we start our discussion, we must understand these basic terms, because in the discussion these terms will be used. So these are the terms like PCP, SCS, SCP, or the SCPCS, or like PKIP or PKKIP. So these are the terms which will be used. So these are the phases of the seismic waves. So these are the, as we know, that is the primary waves and secondary waves. So there are different phases of these seismic waves, and these phases like PCP, SCS, these are also very important, and they are the ray path for the seismic waves penetrating the earth, and their terminology is also. So as you can see, and the C letter, so as you can see in the diagram also, and in the text also, that PCP, so a small c letter, that means the reflection of the outer core, means the reflection from the outer core. So that is represented by a small c letter. So as you can see the PCP in the diagram, SCS, SCP, or PCS, and the star that shows the earthquake focus, and the inverted triangle that is showing the seismic stations, and the P waves and S waves, they are shown by the strong line as well as the dotted lines. So it's very quite important for you to understand. And the PKIKP or the PCP, these are the amplitude ratio, are one of the few seismic observations that directly constrain the change in the S velocity and density across the inner core and the outer core boundary. Okay, and the abbreviations which have been used, they are given here. The P waves, small capital P means the P waves, S waves, and small p as well as the small s, so they denote the depth phases of P and S waves. And small c, that is the reflection from the core mantle boundary, as we have discussed. And the capital K, that is the waves inside the core. Small I, that reflects the reflection from inner core boundary, and capital I, that is the wave through inner core, and difference means that a diffraction at core mantle boundary. And the abbreviations which are used, so the examples are given here, like PCP, small p PCS, or SKS. Okay, and in the previous discussion we have discussed about the diagram that was proposed by, and better known as, preliminary reference earth model, and in abbreviated form it's known as PREM, as we have discussed in the previous slide, okay, or the previous discussion. So now, after discussing the abbreviations used, we will move over to our topic, that is the interior of the earth. And now we will discuss the lower mantle. So the lower mantle, that is now classified as the part below the important seismic discontinuity at 670 kilometer depth. Okay, so that 670 kilometer depth, that represents the lower mantle boundary, and its composition, that is rather poorly known, but it's thought to be consist of oxides of iron as well as magnesium, as well as iron magnesium silicates also, they are also being present with the perovskite structures. Okay, so the composition, if we talk about the lower mantle, so that consists of oxides of iron as well as magnesium, and the iron magnesium silicates also with a structure of perovskite. So the upper part of the lower mantle between 670 and 770 kilometer depth has a high positive velocity gradient and corresponds to the lower part of Bullen's layer C. In the previous discussion, or in the yesterday, we have talked about the diagram, that first diagram in which we have talked about the models, the Bullions layer we have talked about. So that C layer of bullions, that is forms the lower part. Okay, and beneath the lower part, that lies beneath it lies the Bullions layer D, which represents a great thickness of normal mantle, and which is characterized by smooth velocity gradient and the absence of seismic discontinuities. So beneath the lower mantle boundary, or beneath the lower mantle, the Bullions layer, especially the layer D, that is represented by a great thickness of normal mantle and which is characterized by smooth velocity gradient. And most important thing is that there is absence of seismic discontinuities in the lower mantle. And just above the core mantle boundary or CMB boundary, an anomalous layer approximately 150 to 200 kilometer thick has also been identified, in which body waves velocity, that gradients, that is very small and that can be negative also. So although the part of lower mantle is evidently serves as the boundary layer between the mantle and the core, okay, and it's labeled D layer to distinguish it from the normal mantle above it. Okay, and the structures as well as the rules of D layer, these are not well understood with confidence, but it's the focus of intensive current research is going on. The most interesting aspect of D is the presence revealed by some seismic tomography imaging of the velocity variations of the several percent that takes place over lateral distances comparable in size to the continents and oceans in Earth's crust. So the most important and interesting aspect of D layer is the presence of velocity variations, and that has been revealed by the seismic tomography imaging compare in size of the continents and the oceans in the Earth's crust. So the term grand structure that has been coined for these reasons. Its thicker part have also been termed as cryptocontinents, and the thinner part has been termed as crypto oceans. Okay, as you can see in the diagram. So this is a idealized cross section through the mantle showing the convective flow and the relationship of mantle plumes to the D layer, because we all know that is the mantle plumes, they are formed, they are originated in the lower mantle. So as you can see here in the D dash layer, the crypto continents, the crypto oceans as well as the crypto continents, as we can see in the text as given here. So the term grand structure, which has been coined for these reasons, the thicker parts they have been coined as termed crypto continents, as you can see in the diagram, and the thinner parts have been termed as crypto oceans. Okay. So a large low velocity or hot region underlies the Pacific basin, in which many centers of volcanisms and locally high heat flow they are located. Okay, so in the large low velocity regions they are underlain by the Pacific basins, in which the many centers of volcanisms and the locally high heat flow they are being located. And the D layer, that is suspected to be being the source of the mantle plumes that cause these anomalies. So for the exam point of view, this is very important for you, that is the D layer, that is supposed or suspected to be being the source of the mantle plumes. Means in the D layer the mantle plumes they originate, so their origin relates to D layer in the Earth's crust. An exceptionally hot molten material from the D layer that rises in thin pipe like mantle plumes to the 670 kilometer discontinuity, which opposes further upward motion in the same way that it resists the deeper subduction of the cold lithospheric slabs. Okay, as you can see in the diagram, that is the at 670 kilometer depth, the mantle plumes which are forming in the mantle, so they are rising upward, but at 670 kilometer depth there is obstacles, that's why they are moving, they are roundabout in structures or in shape. So they further upward motion in the same way, it resists the deeper lithospheric plates. And occasionally a hot plume that is able to break through the 670 kilometer barrier, they produce a surface hotspots. Okay. And if our current understanding of the D layer that is correct, so that plays an important role in the geodynamics as well as the geothermal behavior of the rocks, okay, or the interior. And on one hand, D layer that serves as the source of material for the mantle plumes, as we have discussed, that give rise to the hot spots which are important in plate tectonics. And on the another hand, the thermal properties of D that could influence the outward transport of heat from the earth's core. So on the one hand, as we have discussed, the D layers, they serve the source of material for the mantle plumes that give rise to hot spots. And on the another hand, the thermal properties of the rocks, thermal properties of the D layer, that could influence the outward transport of heat from the earth's core, and in turn this could affect the intricate processes that generate the earth's magnetic field. Okay. And now we come to the core. So early in the earth's history, the denser metallic elements, they were thought to have settled towards the earth's center, forming the core, while lighter silicates, that those ascended and solidified to form the mantle as the upper boundaries. But studies of the composition of the meteoritic composition of the behavior of the metals at high pressure and temperature, they give a plausible picture of the composition of the formation of core. So this has already been asked in certain few exams, that is the studies or the evidences information for the core that has been identified from the composition of meteorites. Okay, so it's very important for you to understand that is the composition of meteorite and of the behavior of some metals at high pressure and temperature. They give a plausible picture of the composition and the formation of the core, and they consist mainly of iron, as you know, and it with perhaps up to 10% nickel. So the heavier metal like iron, they are in major proportion and with perhaps up to 10% of nickel. So nickel percentage is quite less. And the observed pressure density relationships, they suggest some less dense non-metallic elements like silicon, sulfur, oxygen, okay, they may be present in the outer core. And it's not known whether a small amount of the more common radioactive elements like potassium 40, 232, thorium 235, and 238 uranium, whether they are present in large enough abundance to contribute to the earth's heat supply of the core. Okay, so it's not very well known, it's only because it's just because of the studies of the seismic waves that we have gathered all this information about the core. And the core has radius of 3480 kilometer, and they consist of a solid inner core, the layer G in the Bullen's earth model A, which are surrounded by a liquid outer core, Bullen's layer E, that is 1220 kilometer thick. Okay, so the radius of the core, that is 3480 kilometer, formed by the and consist the solid inner core as well as the liquid outer core. Okay, the transitional layer F, that was modeled by Bullen as a zone in which the p wave velocity gradient is negative. Okay, p wave velocity gradient is negative, that is negative means a decrease with the increasing depth. So that's why it's written as negative impact. And improved seismographic resolution, they have yielded a large quantity of high quality data for the reflections from the boundaries of the outer core, as we have discussed previously. That's why we have talked already, because of this importance, that PCP and SCS and the inner core PCKIP, and which have helped clear up the nature of these boundaries. Okay, so the seismographic resolutions, they have large quantity of high quality data for reflections from the boundaries of outer core as well as the inner core. And the PKIKP phase, that contains high frequencies. This implies that the inner core boundary is sharp, probably not more than 5 km thick. Okay, so the data from the seismic resolutions phase, they contains high frequencies, and which results, or which implies that the inner core boundary, that is sharp and probably not more than 5 km thick. Okay, and the inner core transmit P wave velocities or PKIKP phases, but S waves in the inner core or the PKJKP phases, although in the principal possible, have not yet been observed unequivocally. Okay, so the P wave velocities, they have been observed in inner core, but in the S wave velocities, they have not been observed in the inner core. Okay, and the body wave travel time don't constrain the rigidity of the inner core. The outer core is fluid, we all know, with a viscosity similar to that of water, and it's assumed to be homogeneous in nature, and its thermal state is supposed to be adiabatic. The nature of the outer core, or the core, that is supposed to be homogeneous in nature, and its thermal state is supposed to be adiabatic in nature, and these are the conditions to be expected in a fluid that has been well mixed, in the earth's case, by the convection as well as the differential rotation. Okay, and the core mantle boundary, that are known as CMB boundary, that is also known as Gutenberg discontinuity. And the outer core as well as the inner core boundary, that is differentiated by the Engelmann discontinuity. Okay, so these discontinuities are very important for the exam point of view, that which discontinuity differentiate between which layers. Okay, there are 5 or 6 very important layers. I will discuss in a separate video, because that's very important for the exam point of view. So the core mantle or the CMB boundary, that is also known as the Gutenberg discontinuity. And this Gutenberg discontinuity, that is characterized by very large changes in the body wave velocities, and is the most sharply defined seismic discontinuities. Okay, so this Gutenberg discontinuity or CMB boundary, that is the most sharply defined seismic discontinuity in the Earth's interior. And the seismic data that shows the boundary, that is not smooth but has topography of hills and valleys, means it's not a smooth boundary, but it has a topography of hills and the valleys. So these are ups and downs in the Gutenberg discontinuity. And the anomalies in the travel time of PKKP phase, which are reflected once internally at the core mantle boundary, they have been attributed to scattering by the topographic features with a relief of few hundred meters. Okay, so this was our discussion about the models of the Earth's interior, in which we have talked about the Bullen's layer, the frame or the crust, mantle, and the core, and the different boundaries which distinguishes between the core mantle, the inner core, outer core. Okay, so it's quite important for you to understand, and it's very important for the exam point of view also. Okay, thank you.